AI, in the travel, here we go. Got that AI on the low, taking flights to and fro, booking trips in a snap with a simple chatbot flow. AI, revolutionizing how we roll. Gonna hop on a plane.
Welcome to another episode of the Everything AI in Travel podcast, where we hear from the makers, shapers, and buyers of AI technology in the travel space. Here's your host, Tony Khan.
Hey everyone, welcome to 2026 and the very first episode of this year on the Everything AI in Travel podcast. And it's becoming as usual for episode 1 of each year. I'm getting back my favorite and very special guest, Christian Watts. Welcome to the show, Christian.
Thanks, Tony. Yeah, it's been a few now. I didn't know I was the first, but this is exciting and look forward to seeing what we're going to go through today. I wore my magpie hat for you.
Thank you.
For those that are watching. I actually almost grabbed an Australia hat and I thought that would have been really bad timing right now. So I'll save that for 6 months until things are firmly behind us.
For sure. No, you can't. As an Englishman, you cannot be seen to be supporting Australia, but you may support the Magpies at any time you wish, and I highly support that. Now, the reason I've got you on as number 1 is that we actually had you on as the first guest at this time last year, where we walked through the predictions. Very fraught is a prediction when it comes to AI. And we each had a go at describing how we thought 2025 might work out. So I thought we might look through what we said and whether it happened. And we did a little bit of preparation just for the audience in advance. And you asked your own AI to rate both of our predictions and give us both a score. It gave you a perfect score, 25 out of 25, your own AI did, which I think inherently shows how bad AI is. But let's work our way through the predictions and see if you can justify each of these, and I'll try and get a better score on some of mine that didn't go so well. You cool with that?
Yeah, I just think you're alluding to my AI and the fact that I may have cheated and this and that, and as you I think saw, I took our names off it and I said person 1 predicted this and person 2 predicted that, and it picked me out. So I want everybody to be aware that I didn't cheat.
Maybe you're just the oracle, I think, and that is also possibly true for anyone who follows your content online. Today, actually, you put out a nice piece of content saying everybody should just wait because nobody can really predict the future, but we'll get to predictions a little bit later in the show. So for 2025, let's get into it. It's a bit of a different episode because we've actually got them here on the screen for those that are watching, or you can check this out on YouTube these days if you do want to see the predictions written down. But Christian's prediction number 1 was search will fundamentally change, but Google won't die. And the subpoints are that ChatGPT, Perplexity, and LLM-based search will become mainstream alternatives to Google. Google will face real competition in search for the first time, forcing strategic shifts. And SEO won't disappear, but how brands surface in LLMs will become a major focus. How do you feel about all that?
I feel pretty good about that. Yeah, that's all where we ended up. I'm trying to work out if that was obvious a year ago. It's hard with things moving so quickly, but regardless of whether it's obvious or not, I think we'd agree that's where we are today, right? This search has opened up. It's still mostly on google.com right now, but that's mostly AI summaries now, which I've forgotten the percentage. And there's certainly AI mode is increasing. ChatGPT's become like a regular search. So I feel like we're there.
Yeah.
Do you?
I think you did exceptionally well on this. And my memory of it was all the talk at the time, about 12 months ago, was that Google was in big trouble and that they're lagging behind in the whole AI race and potentially even missing the entire boat. And obviously in 12 months, they've come pretty good. And I would say they're equal competitors now in this race and look to have shored themselves up. But I think at the time, this was a pretty bold prediction based on it. So I guess if we're going to be nitpicky, is it mainstream yet? I think you and I and maybe others that listen to this show have our heads in this stuff all the time. This is what we're doing in the main, but is your average woman in the street going straight to ChatGPT or other LLMs for their answers? I don't know about that yet. Google did face competition and it did it forced strategic shifts for them, and they've made those shifts, which is good. And SEO hasn't disappeared. So I think you're kind of right there. In terms of what your AI said about this, so it said the reality was accurate. And as of 2026, Google holds 81% market share, but ChatGPT and Perplexity have captured about 9 to 10%, which is a massive shift in digital terms. And more importantly, user behavior has bifurcated. So interesting word. Googling is for quick links, while LLMs are for complex planning. What do you think about that?
Yeah, but bifurcated is the word you're looking for. But
Thank you. Thank you.
yeah, which is fair. But I think like you say, some people don't see the difference, and whether they're getting a link or an AI summary at the top, or we had the one box before AI came along. For most people, it doesn't matter. It's an answer, and the answer worked for me. I got what I'm looking for. So it's a bit fuzzy. I'm not sure where I think it was Gemini I punched this into, but I'm not sure where it's getting its data from, because there's still some people looking at search traffic coming from the LLM, which I think we'd agree isn't actually the metric. It's the people starting the search and finishing the search before clicking a link is the key. Because as we all see, I think we generally get a much better answer these days first time, so we don't feel the need to go off and look at websites
Yeah, for sure.
as much.
And will we start to Gemini things instead of Google them? Like, will that become the terminology?
Yeah, we do ChatGPT things. I don't know if we'll Gemini because Google becomes Gemini, but I think ChatGPT is a awkward verb, isn't it now?
I think it is a very awkward word. Another one that I'll find hard to say, I'm sure at some point during this conversation, but I agree, like the Gemini app will probably just become the Google app, and the old Google app will just get thrown away. That will probably be the extent of it. On to your second one. Now, you suggested that businesses will pivot to long tail, LLM friendly content. Companies will massively expand structured FAQ style content. This content will be designed to surface inside LLM responses rather than traditional search. And there is no proven playbook yet, but experimentation will accelerate. How do you think you went on that one?
Yeah, it's difficult to generalize because every company's doing something different. I think the ones that are on top of it and trying to push and trying to be proactive are doing that. There's been a lot of talk the last year on FAQs. I don't know if it's just in my feed because that's what I've been focusing on, but I do see a lot of people talking about this. It is an FAQ type content structure is probably the easiest way to get valuable content out there for the LLMs. So I feel like certainly a lot of people have not changed anything, but I do feel like a lot of companies are focusing on this kind of content.
For sure. Can you think of an example of a website, travel website, that people listening could go to and see a company that's doing this, that has their FAQ style content at the bottom of a page? I'm seeing it in some people's posting. I've seen it
Yeah,
in
I
some
can't.
Substacks, but I can't remember seeing it on a travel site.
I can't give you a specific example. So maybe my thinking on this is a bit more anecdotal that everyone's talking about it, and I haven't actually done a ton of research to see who's actually doing it.
This something Magpie does for customers?
Yeah, we have definitely features on this to help you create FAQs.
Yep.
And what we do is we ask the top 50 FAQs of your content, and then we'll come back and say, listen, these are the FAQs. We don't find the answers to 10 of these questions. You should answer them somewhere and publish it because people need to find out.
For sure. And it seems like something that should be quite easy to do is, if you've got a chatbot or some other way that you're getting people to ask questions, like surely the extension of that should be, if the person asked this question and we gave this answer, then we should put this question and answer then into an FAQ on the page in case somebody else asks it and that gets referenced into an LLM response, right?
It's the easiest, which I think why I've been focusing on it. It's the easiest thing to do now, which is definitely good practice. I always think about the question, can I bring my dog on the tour? Which is maybe a bit of a silly one, but something people can understand. So if I'm on a chatbot and I'm saying I'm going to Melbourne, I want to do a walking tour and I'm bringing my dog, it's going to search for a very specific FAQ. If your website doesn't mention dogs, it's just not going to return that result. and your competitor said, fine to bring your dog or this and that, that will get surfaced just because they mentioned it and they answered the question. So there's a lot of examples of that. It doesn't need to be obviously dog, but the LLMs are searching for all kinds of questions now. So you need to answer all kinds of questions or it'll just ignore your website.
Is there a reason to not do it? Page speed load or something like that would make people go, we don't want to do this? Or length of page? Most of this stuff sits at the very bottom of the page. Most humans are not even getting down there. And it's really for the LLMs to find and utilize, and people doing tricky things about pointing them straight there rather than the rest of the page. Supposedly, again, I read about people talking about potentially doing this, but I don't see it. I don't see people actually doing it.
Yeah, there's no page speed problem with the 50 FAQs, right? That's not a thing unless you're putting a bunch of images in there. But you can also just do a link to more FAQs, put the top 10 for the humans, and then do a link to more for the AIs or the humans if they want. There's no technical reason why people aren't.
And is there, like, outside of Magpie, has someone that you've seen release a product where this could happen, or would you do this in a custom GPT, or there must be some fairly simple kind of agentic routing that would just create these things and put them on your site?
Yeah, we have all your content in Magpie, so it's easy for us. But if you weren't a Magpie customer or you didn't want to be, I would just go to my website, grab a product, stick it into Gemini, ChatGPT, whatever you want, and say, what are the top 10 or top 20 FAQs that a customer may ask? Ask those of this content and come up with the answer, and then and just have it spit out 20 and then fix the answers. Make sure you answer them and then post them somewhere. It's not complicated to create them. So there's no reason why people are just too busy or unfocused, or there's no reason at all why everybody is not doing this.
Yeah. And in our grading here, it said 2025 saw the rise of LEO or LLM engine optimization. Some people might call that AEO or GEO, with the referral traffic from AI tools up 800% in late 2024, early 2025. Brands aggressively rewrote content into conversational structured formats to be cited by Gemini and OpenAI. That's probably up from 0.5% to 4%, but it's still an 800% rise, I guess, better than nothing. But again, I'd love to, if somebody's listening and they've done this and they've actually got a great result from it and are seeing lots of traffic coming through, please let us know in the comments and I'll happily post about it. And I'm sure Christian will as well. It'd be great to see an example of somebody who's actually doing it. You'll post, won't you?
Yeah, it's interesting.
Christian might. Okay, your third prediction was AI agents will start to appear in real booking demos. 2025, we will see credible demos of end-to-end AI agents completing travel bookings. These agents will still be imperfect, but visibly functional. Discussion will shift from chatbots to agents as a dominant theme. You seem to have nailed that one, I think.
Yeah, I feel like agents has been my thing since the start. I just always thought that was the most interesting part of this. But I feel like agents is very fuzzy now, isn't it? When you do a deep research, that's an agentic thing. If you're doing a search, you could argue is agentic an LLM search. Claude Code is definitely agentic. So I feel like the agents are part of just a lot of everyday stuff that we do without really thinking about it. But yeah, there's some crazy stuff that's happening today with agents. There's a lot of stuff which still doesn't work.
For sure.
When
I
you're
don't
trying
remember
to
the actual conversation, but this talks about booking demos, which seems like a fairly passive prediction, right? But by the end of the year, somebody will do a demo, right?
Yeah,
Because
fine.
it's turned out to be correct. Sure, I've seen demos of booking stuff, but I've not seen live customers actually in their booking stuff, particularly in travel. I've seen people buy stuff that's a little bit easier, that might be a product and have less decision making inside it. But in terms of agentic booking, and particularly putting someone's credit card in and completing it and sending them the voucher, I think is, apart from in demos or in videos, doesn't exist right at the moment.
Yeah, I think that's fair. My post this morning was about, today was about MCP versus A2A versus all these new protocols that are from Google and OpenAI, which are mainly the agentic commerce part. And yeah, they've released them all. Google just released theirs. OpenAI and Stripe did theirs last year, but it's not for travel yet. They've got like Shopify and Etsy and stuff. So there's no end-to-end booking within the LLMs currently. I think unless you grab the app, like the Expedia app or the booking app on ChatGPT, and then you're doing it within a window. But usually to get the booking, it's still linking out to finalize the booking.
Yeah, for sure. And the AI overlord who marked this said the buzzword of 2025 was agentic or agentic AI. Major players, Kayak, Navan, Google released functional agents that could book trips, not just chat. They remain imperfect, requiring human oversight, but the terminology shift was absolute. Does Kayak have a agentic AI that can fulfill the booking?
I think the AI made that up. I
I thought AI
think
was
that was
perfect.
hallucination, possibly.
Yes, potentially. Like again, I don't know that's happening. I think the direction is clear, right? That this is where we're going. It can happen. It's going to take a little while for the technology to sort itself out correctly. Someone big, probably trip.com or booking.com, will get something out and make it happen, or one of the booking.com brands, maybe not booking.com itself, will get something out and make this happen. A few people will use it, but it's going to take probably another 12 months for real humans to get the confidence up to do this and want to risk the entire process of just getting a receipt and money coming out of their account and hoping everything's going to be okay.
Yeah, and I think people get hung up on that last bit, right? It doesn't need to go end to end without any clicks. It's fine for it to go off and search and come up with the top 3 or 5, and then let me click one more time to see the details and once more to confirm the credit card. I don't think that stops it from being agentic, and that might always be the case, right? We'll always want to have the last click. When you're spending a lot of money, that seems sensible for most cases. So agentic doesn't need to be click one button, 10 minutes later, you just get a receipt. I think human in the loop is fine for the
Yeah,
long term
for
for some
sure.
things.
Now, interesting in that answer from the AI on this, it did mention Navan, and I think maybe in the travel management world, this is a lot more foreseeable, and particularly in 2026, because as an employee trying to book my work travel, like I don't want to do any of that stuff. I don't really want to search my hotel. I can't be bothered looking around. It's not really my money. Just get me near where I need to stay. I just need a bed. And I definitely don't have to get out the credit card and go through all the admin part. Just book it, right? Like I don't care. Like just book it. I think that's probably where we'll see it first and foremost happen strongly. What do you think?
Yeah, I think that's fair. I'm just thinking now about the Navan kayak thing. I think the AI has probably gone off and read a bunch of press releases on agents that they're building, and it probably hoped they'd finished it and released it, but actually hasn't happened. But
Yeah, for sure.
yeah,
Now, your next one was around OTAs, another one of your favorite subjects. So ATOs will increasingly be questioned as AI matures. OTAs won't lose market share immediately in 2025, but serious discussion will begin around whether their role is threatened long term by agents, and their position in the value chain will feel less secure than before. How do you feel about that prediction 1 year on?
yeah, I feel good about that. I feel like that's been a central conversation, still unclear of how it's going to end up. OTA's talking a big game about how they're fine. I don't think they're necessarily 100% think they're going to be fine. So I do feel, yeah, I feel like that was good.
Okay. Where do you stand on all these other things people are building, like that are using AI or agentic workflows or whatever, but the actual plumbing in the background is really just a bunch of APIs, and nearly all of those APIs emanate from the big OTAs. So they, no matter what happens, they end up with the booking anyway.
Yeah, definitely for the short term. If I was building an affiliate type thing or whatever tool, yeah, with APIs, yeah, I'd start with a booking or an Expedia or similar because that's the fastest way to market. I think what happens next though is interesting. And I always go back to your sort of your ChatGPT customer, and they're just saying, go and find me a flight from San Francisco to London. I report back with hotel, say, report back 10 minutes later. As a customer, I want to see an OTA link, I think, but I also want to see the direct, and I want one with the best price. But the AI can go off and do all of that. I think it's going to drive prices down because it's happening in the background, and you will compare all of these options because it can. I don't think the AI, and I think I may have changed my tune on this a little bit. I thought a couple of years ago that AI would go off and search all 2,000 hotel websites in London to find the best one and keep searching and searching. But at some point, it has to stop. The same as when we search, right, as humans, we stop at some point just to say, okay, I've got enough information. Let me book something. The AI also at some point is going to stop. So it's not going to search everything. So it might use easy paths. An OTA is an easy path. A bunch of direct sites are easy paths, but at some point it'll stop and just give the customer some options to book.
Yeah. So we've lived through this somewhat with meta search where you get a bunch of options and there's a different bunch of prices and it's all supposedly, particularly in a flight on the same route and potentially the same aeroplane or whatever. But I've certainly taught myself not just to click the cheapest one with cheapoairtickets.com or whatever, because the moment anything goes even slightly awry, you're screwed. They don't answer their emails. They don't have a phone number you can call. They've got nothing. Like, how will the AI not get fooled by these same kind of tricks that will then, for your average woman in the street, they'll blame ChatGPT because that's where they were doing their work.
Yeah, one would hope at some point the AI learns this stuff and it learns the reliable paths. I think trust is so important, right? Trust right now sits with the brands, the booking and the Expedia. That's why people click on those links. Like you just said, in the future, trust is with my AI agent. And I've trusted not only that it's got me the best price, but it's researched your cheapo. We're going to be careful what we say because there is a cheapoair.com, I think, isn't there? But it's researched some dodgy air.com website, and I hope it's read some reviews and come back and say, listen, I can save you $10, but I'm not sure about this. So if you want to have something reliable, click this second one.
Mm,
At some point, I don't know if it's there yet.
no, it's tricky as a human, right, to work it out. And as a human not in travel, it's probably 10 times trickier until you've been burnt a couple of times. And this is why travel's hard, right? This is what makes the OTA's position probably more entrenched than we believe. But the grading here was OTAs did not collapse in 2025, but the narrative turned hostile. And that was mainly by you. Right? Articles in late 2025 frequently discussed the agentic threat and whether OTAs would be relegated to dumb pipes. That could also be you. For AI agents. OTAs responded by building their own agents to defend their turf. What do you think of that summation?
Yeah. There's a lot of talk about the pipes, isn't it? Who was it came out and said, I think it was Ariana from Expedia came out and said she doesn't want to be left with just being in the pipes of the industry. Expedia is actually doing really well. Their stocks like doubled in the last year or something. But that's what they should be doing. They should be making sure they're not the commodity pipes because there's not a lot of value in that. There's some value, but there's not an Expedia sized company's worth of value. Yeah, I think it's been a good discussion over the last year, and it'll continue to be.
Yeah, good one. Your next one was human cognitive bias will come under scrutiny. I will highlight how poor humans are at decision making due to cognitive bias. AI will increasingly challenge human decisions by presenting better data-driven alternatives, and this will spark broader acceptance of AI as a decision support system.
Yeah, in the States, we have this guy, he's actually the president who I think has disproven this. He's smarter than the AIs and smarter than the other humans, and he makes fantastic decisions every day. So I think Donald Trump alone has disproven this. Do you agree with that?
Oh no.
I don't think this has been a discussion. I find it interesting. I don't think I haven't seen a lot of discussion around this. I get into all this neuroscience-y stuff, which I find interesting, and that's certainly a discussion point, but I don't feel like this has become there's a lot of talk of where we're going to be in the future and jobs and all that kind of thing, but I don't think there's been a cognitive discussion about how it's smarter than us.
No, for
I believe
sure.
it should have been.
And I often hear you say in your posts online that people are terrible decision makers and they make decisions for all sorts of crazy reasons that have nothing to do with sound decision making, which I think is probably true. And I guess my experience of AI is it's about 80% okay. So it's giving you an 80% okay answer versus your who knows percent answer. Each person will decide for themselves what they think is the best. What did your answering machine say about this? Actually, I don't think it gave an answer about this one. Just ignored it for it being.
Yeah. Maybe it's been funny by ignoring it. It's thinking
It's decided we don't need
it's been
to know.
ironic. Yeah.
We don't need to know. And your final one was authenticity versus AI will become a major cultural debate. Social and visual content will face scrutiny over whether it's AI generated. Authenticity will become a key differentiator. And over time, the AI use will become invisible, but 2025 will be a noisy transition period. Wow. This is super Oracle-esque.
Yeah, I'm thinking I did actually did okay with these. Yeah. A lot of discussion out, and you got a lot of knowledge on the video side of it, but yeah, the fake video now on the socials and everyone having to ask if this is real, and those funny videos with the kid falling down and hitting the balloon thing, they're just not, you don't know if they're real anymore.
No, that's
I
right.
think people have lost interest.
And yeah, that's probably more the point, right? Is that people have lost interest, fatigue, they're sick of the slop. There's talk of bringing out platforms that are anti-AI, Meta themselves. Let's go all AI and see what happens. So it's an interesting one, but the way that this has been summarized is incredibly accurate to exactly the landscape that we sit in early 2026. Kudos to you on that one. What did the marker said 2025 is being called the year of anti-AI discontent by nobody. From gaming boycotts to slot fatigue on social media, the demand for verified human content skyrocketed. I don't know if that's completely true, but I think that's probably what will happen this year, though. We're not quite there yet. But overall, well done on yours.
Thank you.
Yeah, your marking system and me both give you very good marks for that. So well done. Now, your marking system gave me very poor results. So just be mindful of that as we go through these. Now, my first prediction was AI will further commoditize travel and invite new entrants. Travel will become easier to plug into, lowering barriers to entry. Financial institutions will increasingly sell or bundle travel products. Trip planners will be acquired by banks, card issuers, or financial platforms. And once one major acquisition happens, others will follow quickly. Mine was a far more bold prediction, I believe, than any of yours. But how do you think I went there?
There has been a lot of discussion, especially around the sort of credit cards and fintechs coming into travel. So I think it's been a discussion. I don't think there's been a ton of transactions happened, one or two.
Been a
But
couple.
I think it's directionally true. Though also, and I'm surprised about this, there's been no sort of new, not that I've seen, there's been no sort of new OTAs coming from a different angle, some new kind of search, starting with map first or swipe first, I haven't seen anyone trying to break into the market. It's maybe silly to think you can build a new OTA, but you can actually build one quite easily these days. At least a basic one that sits on the back of somebody's API. Just to
Yeah.
try new sort of entrance points. And I've not seen anybody really try or announce or
No,
I'm not sure why.
I agree. And my next one was around, we're actually going to run out of time pretty quickly here, but my next one was around financial institutions will use travel to increase customer lifetime value, which is actually quite similar to the one above, and maybe the AI here has conflated the two together. But just, I guess, I think from a directional point of view, I think we had Amex invest into Mindtrip. We saw Swiftly acquired by Revolut. Just this week, we've seen Trip Promoter picked up by another kind of wallet company. So there are a few that are happening. I think financial institutions are definitely becoming major players in travel. And I think AI is the vehicle that will get them there, or for many of them, it will. Another one I can think of is Trippion's deal with Visa, etc. I'm okay with it, even if the AI thought I did poorly on it. I think we're directionally in the right idea. We're really going to run out of time here, Christian, so I'm going to run through these pretty quickly. Consumers will not widely adopt AI booking agents yet. Now, I will just have a look at the verdict here, because the verdict gave me 1 out of 5 on that prediction. And yet I think we spoke before about that there is no real agentic booking happening as yet. Your thoughts?
Yeah, I feel like Gemini is maybe overscoring its own abilities, therefore it's marked you down for that. If you're going to disrespect it with your predictions, then it's going to mark you down. Fair enough. It's just defending itself
For
with its
sure.
scoring.
For sure. It didn't just mark me down, it gave me 1 out of 5. It said you are 100% wrong on that one. I'm going to say I'm completely right on that one. No consumers have adopted by booking agents as yet at all. My favorite one was that AI will become a mainstream babysitter for children, which just hasn't happened at all. And I actually can't believe that it hasn't happened. And what are your thoughts on that? Like, why aren't people like giving their kids a teddy bear that has essentially a phone with AI turned on all the time in it so that the kid can talk to it?
Maybe because the iPad is not broken.
Right.
It does the same job with their silly cartoons or whatever they want, or their games, and maybe if it ain't broke, don't fix it, sort of thing, and the iPad's doing a good job.
For sure. I could see that. But the kid can't talk to that, can't have a conversation backwards and forwards with the iPad. Can't have an imaginary friend that like actually interacts with it and speaks backwards. So that to me was always a really interesting idea here, was around the imaginary friend that's actually in the room speaking. And the other advantage I saw for parents was that they could then get a transcript. What's your kid talking about? What are they interested in? What's going on during the day when you're busy at work or doing the cooking or doing the washing or whatever it is that you're doing, that you're not with your child. I thought it was a great learning experience. AI will reemerge with...
Hold on. So it's potentially slightly alarming for you to think that a parent is just going to go after their little 3-year-old and say, just talk to this doll all day. Here is your imaginary friend. We have enough problems with that without parents encouraging it. They might not be quite there yet.
I was leaning into every human's natural laziness to make it an actual a lay down misere, but it didn't happen. Christian, we've literally got 1 minute left. So we're quickly going to say that the Airbnb will re-emerge as a major player in AI. Did not happen. I'm happy to take a 1 on that. And a backlashing around rebalancing AI and authenticity did happen, and AI will become a personal, always on travel companion. Has not happened yet. Would you agree?
Yeah.
Perfect. We have no time for your future predictions, which is tragic because you are the oracle, but thank you for joining me today. And if people are listening in and they've got thoughts on how we did and want to hear the 2026 predictions, then we can come back and do those in a very near episode. Would you come back, Christian?
I would. Otherwise, we could do something in writing or newsletter or LinkedIn or something as well. So let me know what you like.
Do that. We might do that. Thanks everyone for listening today. Been a pleasure. As always, Christian, great to see you, mate.
Thanks, Tony. Good to see you too.
Go Paul.
AI, in the travel, here we go. Got that AI on the low, taking flights to and fro, booking trips in a snap with a simple chat.